Hi, I'm Derek Fredrickson. Welcome to the COO Solution Podcast, the show for business owners and visionary leaders who want to scale with clarity, confidence, and the right support. For over 16 years, I've been in the trenches as a fractional COO, Chief Operating Officer, helping entrepreneurs align their teams, streamline operations, and remove bottlenecks that slow growth. I understand the challenges, feeling overwhelmed, stretched too thin, or uncertain about how to scale without burning out. I've helped business owners move from chaos to clarity, creating businesses that run smoothly and grow and scale. Each week, I'll bring you real-world insights, proven strategies, and practical solutions to help you step into your highest role as a leader. Whether it's optimizing your team, strengthening accountability, or building the right systems for growth, this podcast is here to support you in scaling smarter. So if you're ready to create a business that thrives without requiring more of you, let's get started. Do you ever feel like you're drowning in your business? Every time you think you've got a handle on things, new tasks, emails, and to-dos keep piling up. The thing is, if you're still holding on to everything, you are the bottleneck in your business. Welcome back to the COO Solution Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Fredrickson, and today we're tackling a huge issue for so many business owners, micromanagement. More specifically, how to let go of the reins and learn the true power of delegation. In this episode, we'll explore why letting go doesn't mean losing control. It actually means gaining freedom. The biggest delegation mistakes entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them. How a fractional COO can help shift your business from overwhelmed to efficient and scalable. Let's dive into how to free yourself from micromanaging, build trust, and empower your team to take ownership. If you're still managing every little detail of your business, you're going to hit a wall. And trust me, if you haven't hit that wall yet, you will. When you started your business, you were in control of everything. But as your business grows, you can't keep doing everything yourself. The problem is many entrepreneurs think that if they let go of control, things will fall apart. The truth is, when you hold on too tight, your business gets stuck. Here's the thing. Delegation is a form of freedom. It's not about losing control. It's about freeing up your time to focus on what only you can do, the vision, the strategy, the big future, and growing and scaling the business. When you're stuck in the weeds of your business, you lose sight of the big picture. And this episode is designed to help you recognize that delegation is not only the key to freedom, it's a business necessity if you want to scale beyond the bottleneck and build something that runs without you. So let's talk about point number one for delegation mastery, which is the founder's struggle with delegation and why founders resist delegation. If you're like most founders and entrepreneurs and CEOs, you've probably done everything yourself at some point because let's face it, who else can do it as well as you, right? But founders often have a hard time letting go because they believe no one else can do the things with the same level of precision or quality or care. But this mindset keeps you stuck in the daily grind, preventing you from stepping into the leadership role that will take your business to the next level. And let's talk about the negative impact of micromanagement. When you micromanage, you're not just holding yourself back, you're holding back your entire business. And micromanaging makes you the bottleneck. When you're constantly overseeing every task, your team doesn't have the freedom to take ownership, responsibility, and make decisions and drive results. So the key is to start by delegating small, manageable tasks first, and then work your way up to bigger responsibilities. It's about baby steps. This builds trust and confidence in your team and trust and confidence in yourself in letting go. Let's talk about number two, the benefits of delegation, gaining freedom, not losing control. So what does letting go really mean? Delegating isn't about walking away from your business or losing control. It's about focusing on what only you can do and empowering your team to run the day-to-day operations. And when you delegate, you give your team the freedom to step into leadership and you free yourself from the nitty-gritty. This leads to greater efficiency, higher productivity, and ultimately more growth. Example, when I hired my own fractional COO for my business, I was able to step back from managing the day-to-day operations. It wasn't about letting go completely. It was about trusting my COO to execute the operational vision while I focused on growth and strategy. And empowering your team. Delegation doesn't mean losing control. It means empowering your team to take ownership of their roles. When your team feels empowered, they're more likely to perform at a higher level. They're more motivated because they know that their work is valued and they can see how their efforts directly contribute to the company's success. Let's move on to point number 3, common delegation mistakes and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, lack of clear expectations. A major mistake business owners make when delegating is not providing clear expectations and outcomes. Make sure your team knows exactly what you want and by when. Use clear guidelines and check-ins, if needed, to ensure the task or project is being handled appropriately. This builds the trust and confidence. I've seen businesses where tasks were handed off, but the lack of clarity led to delays and frustrations. Clear, detailed instructions solve this problem. Mistake number 2 is not letting go of the task completely. So delegation isn't just about handing off a task. It's about giving up control and trusting your team. Let your team handle the task fully. Be there for guidance if needed. Be there for clarity when required, but avoid the temptation to micromanage. When you micromanage a delegated task, you're essentially telling your team that you don't trust them, which undermines their confidence and willingness to take on more. Mistake number 3 is delegating to the wrong person. We've talked about right person, right seat frameworks here at the COO Solution Podcast, and we need to make sure that when we delegate to the right person, not to the wrong person. And delegating to the wrong person or someone who isn't fully equipped or empowered to handle the task is a fast track to frustration and mistakes. Make sure you delegate to the person who's not only capable, but also motivated and skilled to take on the task. Align the right people to the right tasks. I once worked with a client who delegated key operations tasks to someone without the right skill set. They weren't wired to complete projects or implement operational workflows for efficiencies. It just wasn't their strong suit. And it wasn't long before things started slipping and they had to backtrack and come up with a different solution. Let's move on to point number 4, which is the role of systems in effective delegation. The power of systems. I often say you can't scale without systems. Systems may not be sexy, but they are the secret to scaling your business. The systems you put in place with the help of a fractional COO enable your team to work efficiently and autonomously, reducing the need for constant oversight. Delegating tasks requires a solid system that supports it. A CRM system for tracking leads or prospects or clients, or maybe a project management tool for project management, task management, collaboration, a communication tool like Slack or Teams for collaborative communication, and maybe even a shared file system for easy access to documents that are important like Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. I'll give you an example. Once my team and I implemented a project management system, which we did from day one, it became so much easier to delegate tasks without worrying about things slipping through the cracks. And this is how we run companies. We run companies on frameworks and structures and systems, leveraging project management systems, whether it's Asana or Monday.com or ClickUp, whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as the system is in place for managing tasks, managing projects, managing timelines, and managing responsibilities. We also need to talk about documenting processes. Clear and well-documented processes are key to delegating effectively. You need to give your team the tools to succeed, and that means providing clear guidelines for how to handle tasks. If it's not written down, it's not a system. If it's in somebody's head, it might be forgotten or overlooked. So the solution is to create SOPs or standard operating procedures. This is the blueprint of how we do things around here for every process that can be delegated. This ensures consistency and allows your team to operate independently without you having to be involved. And lastly, let's talk about number 5, delegation and building trust, how to let go and lead, trusting your team to lead. One of the hardest things for founders and entrepreneurs is letting go of the need to control everything. But delegation is also about building trust. As you delegate, you're also showing your team that you trust them to make decisions. This trust can inspire loyalty, ownership, and a more engaged team. When you trust your team to fully own their role and responsibilities and what's expected of them, and they're clear on what's expected of them, and you're clear on what's expected of them, they feel more empowered. They feel more aligned. They feel more capable of doing things effectively and efficiently, which contributes to the growth and success of the business. That's what we want. We want empowered team members to contribute to where the business is going, and they know what their part is in making that happen. So trust your team to lead in their respective areas. Let them take ownership of projects and tasks and deadlines. You don't need to be involved in every detail to maintain control. However, you can be informed. You have the ability for your team to reflect back to you on progress, on status, on bottlenecks or roadblocks. And that's where you can be involved, not micromanaging, but involved to provide clarity, to provide direction, to provide answers to questions that will allow them to continue on the path of owning a project or a task to completion without you having to initiate the oversight and the checking in. So here's a simple, actionable step you can take today. I always provide these on my podcast because I always want you to walk away with something that you can start to do today, this week, this month, based on this insight about delegation mastery and really freeing yourself up from micromanagement. So step number one, look at your calendar today and identify one task you can delegate. Or look at your email, or look at your project management system if you're using it, or look at your phone on your notes app, or whatever it is. You know what you need to do, right? Identify one task that you can delegate. Clearly outline the expectations and the outcomes. Really, what do you want the success criteria to be when that task is finished? And then identify the right person on your team to handle the task and empower them to take it off your plate. This is about letting go. This is about trusting your team. This is the COO Solution Podcast episode for Delegate Mastery, freeing yourself from micromanagement. Do you ever feel like drowning in your business every time you've got things, new tasks, emails, and to-dos piling up? The thing is, if you're still holding on to everything, you are the bottleneck in your business. Welcome back to the COO Solution Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Fredrickson, and today we're tackling a huge issue for so many business owners to learn the true power of delegation. In this episode, we'll explore why letting go doesn't mean losing control. It actually means gaining freedom. The biggest delegation mistakes entrepreneurs make, how to avoid them, how a fractional COO can help us from overwhelmed to efficient and scalable. Let's dive into how to free yourself from micromanaging, build trust, and empower your team to take ownership. If you're still managing, if you're still managing every little detail of your business, you're going to hit a wall. And trust me, if you haven't hit that wall yet, you will. When you started your business, you were in control of everything. But as your business grows, you can't keep doing everything yourself. The problem is many entrepreneurs. And that's a wrap on this episode of the COO Solution Podcast. If you found today's conversation valuable, I'd love it if you could subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to get control of their business and scale it with a second in command that they trust to handle all the daily tasks and operations they don't enjoy. And hey, maybe you're wondering if now is the time to bring on a trusted fractional COO or Chief Operating Officer to help your thriving business scale with clarity and confidence. If you're tired of doing it alone, visit thecoosolution.com and take our free quiz to help determine if now is the right time to bring a fractional COO to help you scale. In just 25 questions, you'll get a personalized report that helps you decide if your business is ready for the game-changing support of a part-time fractional COO. Let's find out together if it's your next step. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.